All right, so good morning, everybody. We're Team Scorpion, and our project is The House. Our team is composed by Yer, Fan Fan, Shushan, David Suyash, and myself. So today we're going to talk about 5 things. First, we're going to talk about the business concept. Then we're going to talk about the resources that we had. We're going to show you a short clip of an entrepreneur in our industry, then a short summary of our report, and at the end, the reflections. So the business concept. So here in our first weeks in New York, we found out that relaxing after work or after school, it's first of all very expensive. Then it's a little bit annoying because as soon as you sit down, you have to consume. So it's like you sit down and there's like, what are you gonna drink? Because you're gonna have a beer, you're gonna have a coffee, or you're gonna have a tea. It's always that hustle. And always if you're carrying stuff, is what are you gonna do, where you're gonna put them. So it's a bit inconvenient. So those are the problems that we were facing, and we thought that people deserve better. So we came up with the idea with The House. The House is it's a new take on the shared economy. So it's a shared living room. This is a place where you can go after class, and we move the pricing at the entrance of the door, so you don't have to worry about ordering right away. You can just go in and forget about the rest. It's a place where you can have the self-service. So we're going to develop some wristbands and cards where you can self-serve coffee or beer or whatever you like, and you can come here and enjoy and get involved in a community, relax, do some work, and play and drink. So these are some pictures that we took from Industry City, and we kind of want our place to look like that. So what we did a floor plan of our idea. We printed out on a poster with some of the pictures to make people understand what we're trying to do, because we didn't have the resources to start doing something or invest in a physical location. So we went out to the streets and we talked with 53 people. We didn't conduct interviews, we just conducted conversations to figure out what people actually wanted. And this is some pictures we took on the street. And what we learned, it boils down to 3 things. First, customers in the B2C market were not interested in a membership because it ties it down to having to go to the same place once a month. So they didn't like that much. And we found this about because of one guest speaker and one panelist. The bring your own alcohol policy has a lot of insurance complications, so we kind of dropped that. And at the end, the best thing, and we're going to make a big shift and a pivot here, so what we learned is that it's a much better market to target companies and sell this as if it would be a perk for their employees than targeting a B2C market, which is sell specifically to us. And I think that's a great advantage because right now you have WeWork, but as soon as you finish work, you have a happy hour every day. So that's not very productive for the next day. So I think that's a great take.
Who says? Who says?
And then we decided, like, talking about the whole results we got, and we realized we actually will have the 4 roles in the future for our house. The first one, like the organizer role, we need to build the business idea, and we will be the first pioneer in this industry, like to building this kind of the public community. And we will also, our customers will not only be the customers, they will also be a member for the community. Then we produced 11 pages, like the whole results we can get, but New York is more than that. I will give you 2 very examples what impressed us. The first one is how easy and how many investment in New York in here. Like for example, the New York Angels, they have the most activity angel group in the world, and they invest a lot. And the second one is the American Nightlife Association. As we are going to have a quite good bar in the future, the Nightlife Association can provide us the professional, the professional nightlife leading styles, and they also can offer some discount on insurance, like the future license. We think the idea can be worked in New York.
Okay, so for the interview part, we interviewed James, the founder and CEO of the Tribe. He's a University of Notre Dame finance graduate. He worked in hedge fund. He had a very nice job, well-paid job, but still he chose entrepreneurship. Let's watch the video.
I'm the founder and CEO of Tribe, the platform for interest-based co-living. What we do is we have a bunch of houses, and we group people together by shared interests. So, in terms of how I came up with the idea, so I see my focus and my purpose in life as being to make the biggest positive impact that I can, or put another way, to advance humanity as much as I can. When I was a little bit younger, I'm 28 now, but when I was in high school or college, this is something that I wish there had been, because if there had been just like one kind of house or like tight-knit community with a bunch of other entrepreneurs who kind of thought like I did, just having that probably would have been enough for me. Starting my journey as an entrepreneur like 10 years earlier than I did.
Excellent. Can you tell us about what were the initial reactions between once you decided to start something of yourself, between you and your family or your friends? Any initial reactions with it?
No, yeah, I don't think anyone was for it. So my family, I think, preferred that I would have stayed at a normal job. My first job was at a hedge fund. I was part of Bain Capital. So yeah, it definitely was not socially normal for my group of friends or my family. And I decided that I would rather do that and at least know that I tried than to have not tried. So challenges, yeah, I think so. Starting off, I was definitely very naive and probably still a little bit naive. I guess like for me, the big thing was just kind of not understanding like how that iterative process worked, and thinking that like kind of like in school, like okay, if I want to get a straight A's or whatever in school, I do X, Y, and Z. It's very straightforward. Everything is already figured out. You just do it, and it's like a guarantee that you will get there as long as you do it. And so, like the toughest moment was I had to sign this this personal guarantee for a lot of money. I think it was maybe $200,000 or something. But yeah, I think at that point I was definitely nervous. I still did it. Like I kind of forced myself to sign it, and then afterwards I had second thoughts, but it was too late. So I'm glad that I just kind of pushed myself to do it anyway. There's never any reason not to try, not to give your best effort to live the best life.
It has been very insightful. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so we're moving on to a little bit more the boring part, but when we started looking at what we want to do for a research report, we sat down with Professor Bachenheimer, and what he told us is do something which we absolutely have no idea about. So then we looked into our project. Okay, actually the interesting part, well, not so interesting, but it seemed interesting at the time to look at stuff like insurance, health and safety regulations, and also licenses we need to get, and especially the general liability insurance was a big thing, because when we presented last month, there was Dan Harrison sitting here, and he's actually a bar owner. And what he told us about that, our initial idea was that people can bring their own alcohol, but he told us that he's already paying $12,000 in general liability insurance, and if we want to go with that concept, actually our insurance price will go much higher than that, because of course if you don't control the giving out of the alcohol, you lose control, and the chance that something will happen is much higher. So that's, I looked at, now we're going to health and safety.
And in the health and safety part, we were searching for some policy from all the government website and some like clinics and laboratories. And we find it's mainly contain the three parts. The first is the fire suppression systems that says that your decorations in your bar must follow the fire codes. And second is the food and the kitchen regulations. That means your food that you serve to your customers must obey some certain temperature rules, and you need to avoid the pest-friendly conditions, and you must clean your floor and your walls if you serve drink or just the food. And the noisy policy is much simpler. It's just if we location in some public street or some public places, we can't make so much loud advertisement in the street, and we need to keep our equipment noise in the moderate levels in the resident areas. And this is the pictures that, because we don't have so much time, we just list that violations if we open a bar business, what kind of things we need to avoid the violations and the corresponding the fine figures. And we give some recommendations to our business. The first, we can work with some licensed professionals because in the constructors, and we can get help from the small business service SBS in the New York City because they are more qualified. They has no much legal regulations and requirements, and they can help you to avoid the fines and violations, and the staff certainly know some departments that associate with the health and the safety elements, like the Department of the Health and the Department of Consumer Affairs. And we need to schedule the operational inspections because we need to first to check it and avoid the fine and as much as possible. And we need to employ the food protection people, and we need to avoid other fines like we listed in the picture. Next, we go on the lessons.
Yeah, first of all, because our business provides customer space for gathering, so to apply for the place of assembly certificate of operation is essential for us to start the business. And before applying that, since we are planning to transform the warehouse into the community, so we have to adjust the certificate of occupancy, which is required for the change of use of existing building. And we as for the facilities, we find out is that there is a billiard room license which is required if we want to set up some board game equipment or machines in our community. But it's luckily we find out when we dig out further information, we find there is some exclusions that if our board game machine just used for the members and it's not the dominant facilities for us, we can the license is not required for our business. And for another important service, we have to apply for a catering establishment license if we want to supply the food. And there are many opportunities around the New York. So we find many incentive programs for our business.
Individual reflection. First thing, I'll be honest, obvious, and whenever I say it's the best thing I've ever had or the first time I ever had, that's really true. So it all started from Ladakh, July 2016. I was struggling with the decisions of my life to go for Masters in Computer Science and Engineering from one of the topmost institutions of the world, a global entrepreneurship program. I think my heart chose entrepreneurship, and that's why I'm here. I landed in Leon. I was naive, I was inexperienced, I was gullible, I was like childlike, but still I had big dreams in my mind and passion in my heart. And I had a strong desire to learn, and I came here. So I met my classmates from 11 different nationalities, and the first time in my life I realized that there is something called cultural differences, which I was totally not aware of. I learned, I evolved, I made friends, and I realized that this is entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship, it's not just about a profession, it's not about starting a company, it's about the way you live your life, it's the choices you make, it's the notion, it's a concept. So this is what I think is entrepreneurship. For me, it's just the way you live. Everything is entrepreneurship. Struggle, make hard choices. And at the end, before starting this program, I didn't know what to do. I think I still don't know what I want to do. But I know one thing, that I'll start my own company in 6 months after living this program. Also, I'm looking for an internship. Thank you.
It feels so much pressure after Suyash. And hello everyone. Introduce myself again. I'm Xu Shanshan Yu, and I'm from Zhejiang University. And what I want to talk mainly today is about 5 points The two is about the two sentences. It's very quick. Two sentences I learned from GEP group, and the three qualifications I get from this group. The two sentences I remember is first is be an entrepreneur, you be ahead of the curve. That is to say that I remember this is Professor Moore gave us, and at the first stage we don't exactly know what does they mean, but after we finish the class from our professors in the Pace universities, we know that you should do the effectual entrepreneurship. That is, you don't blindly follow to some people's previous product. You just focus on who is your customers, where is this needs, and then you create some things that you create the trends. So I think the first things I learned, and the second sentence is that start small, but dream bigger. And the point is like yeah. The point is like we need to start. We need to start right now. Although you don't have sufficient funds, but you don't need to real preparation, just start now. And I think I learned a lot, like the management skills and the confidence from your support and our systematic classes. And the most important things is our team, because before that, I think you just need to be a lonely hero because you are an entrepreneur. But from now on, I think we need to be a group of the hero. It's just to speak about all of our classmates. You are the hero, and I cooperate with you as the teammates in the 1 year once or more times, and I appreciate about that. So I think play hard.
We're at 17 minutes.
Okay, and just wanna say very quickly, for this year, at that time, I was doing anywhere, and I don't know, should I going back home for my family business, or should I just stay in UK, just be a happy person there? And for now, thanks for the whole year's generous love and support, and you gave me the courage. Your little one is ready for the large world. Thank you.
Really brief. It took me a while to understand that a startup is not just a small portion of a company. I think we had good training on the skills that you need to move forward. And I'm really thankful to have 40 new great friends, and that made me a better entrepreneur and a better person.
Thank you.
Yeah, the most significant thing I learned from the JP is revise my misunderstanding of the entrepreneurship. There is no such thing as the perfect idea, neither the perfect timing to start a new venture. So do learning while you're doing. That's my learning.
I'm going to say one or two sentences before you run up here and pull the plug on us. For me, what I take away the most is the atmosphere, the positive working environment. I think the 3 locations prevents us from building a life outside the GP, which starts in entrepreneurship. If you have your own company or you work, you spend most time with your colleagues and your founders than with your family. So for me, it was a very interesting experience to know for myself which atmosphere I want to build. Once, if I have the chance to go out and actually be an entrepreneur, to try to get that GP spirit in my corporate life. Thank you very much.